The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. The time has come. The captain is here to finally give my takes on Valerie. People have been asking me to talk about Valerie since 2020 when I made that other Danny fandom video in the past where I was talking about Sam, which some of my opinions from there have changed because the way y'all be coming for Sam, I was like, oh, okay. I feel bad because I feel like I initiated a lot of that hate. But for the most part, I realized so many of the issues with Sam's character are so many of the issues that I have with Valerie's character, and it's because they were written by straight white men. But we're not here to talk about Sam, we're here to talk about homegirl Valerie. I don't want to feel like I have Sam overshadowing Valerie in this video. That's why I decided to just keep this video strictly on her. Valerie Gray, in my opinion, is a strong example of why Black people need to write their own stories. I have this big problem with this. Z on Instagram, the Mighty Zoe, I'm pretty sure y'all are familiar with her. She makes a lot of good posts talking about the representation for Black girls in media and whatnot, and so much of her arguments can be tracked back to the fact that Black women do need to be telling these stories. Now let's actually backtrack, Valerie's story. When we meet her, she's basically one of the cool kids. She's one of the popular girls in school. We see that she is a mean girl. She's a bit nasty, I'd say. But something happened. Her dad ended up losing her job. Everything just started hitting her all at once, and she kind of lost that popularity, and that's what drove her towards Danny. As we see that she did like Danny for who he was, and they did grow a bit of a romance right there. I'm still so sad that he did not end up with her at the end. My ass was hurt. But then also, it's just kind of like, Danny is not the prize. Like, white men are not the prize, okay? That's one thing I can't stand about a lot of American media, is that they treat a lot of white men like they are the prize. Disney is a prime really bad example of this, but I am a bit appreciative of Danny Fandle for not going that route. But I'm not gonna lie, it would have been nice to see together. That chemistry was there. They would have been so cute. I love them. I still ship them to this day. Now over time we find out that Valerie's family is bad. She's secretly a ghost hunter and whatever the fuck, and that's where so much of the tension for her character and everyone else comes from, as she is basically an antagonist. She's one of the air quote villains, but I personally don't see Valerie as a villain in my opinion. I see her as an antagonist, but also just a really sad girl that deserved just so much better, because I'm pretty sure she did not ask to do this ghost hunting shit. And that is one thing that gets on my damn nerves when I'm watching so many of these shows where kids are like superheroes or whatnot. A lot of them did not sign up for this. Their parents put them in that, because I remember specifically in Miraculous Ladybug, the Miraculous New York special, like I said, strong on women of color was a big problem in there, because there was this one character in it named Jessica, and Jessica, she is one of the first times we've ever seen like an indigenous character in a cartoon, like a well-known cartoon. If there are any more indigenous characters in cartoons, kids cartoons specifically, please let me know so I can make a catalog of it, so we can keep track of it. But Jessica, this is like one of the first times we ever seen an indigenous character in a major franchise like this. The only other one I can really think of is Piper from the Percy Jackson series, who was done dirty like Jessica. But with Jessica, so much of her time we spent with her. We only spent about an hour with Jessica, not even that, because that shit kept going back to Marinette and Adrian's problems. When we were with Jessica, she was just in the stress the entire time. She was basically trying to keep it together. She had all these responsibilities onto her. put on by her mom and of these other adults within her life. And it's just so sad to see that we finally get this representation of an Indigenous girl in the media, a very popular show, and she's just basically in distress the entire time. She was brutalized, she was disrespected, and like I said, an Indigenous woman should have been in charge of Jessica's character, because I feel like so much of that would have been better. Because like with Jessica being Indigenous, a lot of people don't see women of color outside of their pain and struggles, and that is so much of the sense I got from Valerie's character in Danny Phantom. Because I'm not trying to say that nobody else in Danny Phantom suffered, but Valerie suffered so much, because we saw how in the beginning we saw that she had it good. She was popular, her family had money, she was living the lavish life, like not that lavish, but she was doing pretty well. And then we see this downfall of her over time, and with the other characters we didn't really see that. We saw they were just bad or they were just good, like you know financially, mentally, all of that. We do see a sense of that with Danny, as he is the main character. We see how him being a ghost affects his life. We do see that with Sam. Tucker got horrible character development. Tucker deserved better. Like I said, stop. Oh God, y'all are so horrible at writing black characters, because Tucker is just awful. But what bothers me so much about Tucker versus Valerie is that Tucker's problems are just the fact that he is like, y'all know in another teen movie he was talking about, I'm the token black kid. My purpose in this is just to say shit like fuck and damn and this and that. That's literally Tucker's entire character in Danny Phantom. Like, he's literally just a token black kid trope. That's why it's not that much to deal with when you're talking about Tucker's character, because he's just overall a bad character. Valerie, on the other hand, she's more of a problematic character, if that makes sense, because like I said, when it comes to white people writing about black characters, so much of it has to do with black pain. Now, I do have my opinions about the take, but I felt like their transcript about the strong black woman trope is very straightforward, so I will be referring to it. Since the late 20th century, the image of black women as unbreakable and almost superhuman has dominated TV and film. The strong black woman character type on screen can be identified by some key features. Although black women of immeasurable strength do exist in real life, in recent years, popular culture has begun to recognize the toll that has to manifest this superhuman strength take on black women, both on screen and off screen. She does not tolerate BS. She has a strong moral compass and holds others accountable. She's a natural nurturer, channeling her strength into helping others, sometimes even to the point where she disregards her own needs. She's a high performer. The strong black woman has likely had to outperform most white male peers in order to get where she is. Perhaps most centrally, this character has endured extreme hardships on her life and overcome them. The adversity she lived through has become a source of her inner power and helped define the code of personal ethics. The strong black woman can be seen as selfless strength personified, the human embodiment of a maximum that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So many non-black people, especially white people, they do not see people of color, especially black people, especially black women, outside of pain. Because why do y'all think when so much of our media goes viral, stories about black people, the ones that usually capture the attention of non-black people are usually the ones about them suffering? You know why so many white people watch The Color Purple? Because everyone's like, oh, The Color Purple is such a strong, moving tale about black womanhood and this and that and the third. But I'm like, yay, thank you for watching this story about black tragedy, but why can't you go and watch the one about black happiness? Like, go watch Beauty Shop. But they not gonna do that for that. y'all want to be on Beauty Shop? That was my shit. And it's like, you go back and you look at all these critically acclaimed black movies. So much of them are just black pain. You have The Color Purple. You have Set It Off. You have 12 Years a Slave. You have When They See Us. When you look at this big catalog of all this stuff, it is just black pain everywhere. And I understand, because it's important that we do tell these stories. But Also, this is also not the only thing that is to blackness. And because, you know, this is the most popular media that we have for black people out, of course, so many white writers are going to be like, I want to include diversity in my project. I want to include black people in my project, but what could I do with them? And they're kind of just writing what they know, because a lot of, you know, white people don't really have black friends, but they do want to include diversity in their works and such. And they're just writing what they know. And so much of what they know is just, you know, black people and people of color being in pain. And it's really sad. I love Valerie. I think her story was pretty well done, but also it was just very much disturbing how her story was not told by a black woman. I personally think her story really should have, because there have been so many instances where I've seen stuff like this in the past and it just doesn't work because it was not your story to tell. There's just certain things that I know I'm never going to be able to tell because it's not my story, and that's all right, because I absolutely got so pissed when I was in Barnes & Noble one day and I was looking for some black books to read, like, you know, books by black authors. And I was looking up the names of like some of these people, like it was black pain books, and I was seeing that these books were written by white people. Y'all know those Bluford High books that they like used to always have in our middle schools, like black schools specifically? A lot of those Bluford High books were not written by black people. I'm not even joking. And I'm just like, you are capitalizing. You are making money off of black pain. This is not your story to tell, baby. And I'm not saying that white writers shouldn't include diversity within their works, but we do start to see a pattern, because oftentimes when white writers do include black people within their media, it's just black girl in pain. It's just girl of color in pain. And it's just very tired, and it's also very draining. Okay, if I jumble over some of these words, I apologize. It's late. White people have been writing black characters for years. American Gangster, Amistad, 42, Black Panther, Bird, Cool Running, Joanna Man, aka Black Tootsie, The Help, Straight Outta Compton, Ray, The Blind Side, Get On Up, Hidden Figures, Screenwriters, All, The Hurricane, The People vs. OJ, The Jacksons, Soul, Basket, Shaka Zulu, Judah, and The Black Messiah. We're not done. Green Book, Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3, Nina, okay, we can tell white people wrote Nina, but Akilah and the Bee, Glory, Coming to America, The Butler, Bessie, Space Jam 1 and 2, Malcolm and Marie showed very, very badly with that one. Sam Levinson is a menace. Watchmen, Cry Freedom, The Color Purple, Screenwriters, Hotel Rwanda, Hattie McDaniel biopic. Do black actors like having white writers put words in their mouth? Isn't that puppetry? Or are black audiences, actors, producers simply conditioned to have their stories told by white counterparts, like Pavlov's dog? That's how you get a story about Stephen Burko starring Kevin Kline. To date, there has not been a Disney movie written by someone black. What is this teaching our kids? Why are the gatekeepers systematically preventing black writers from telling their stories? For far too long, books, movies told black people to meet injustice with love and forgiveness. The Help, Green Book, Mandela. Yet, white people are met with the same injustice, books, and movies to tell them to stand up and fight. Braveheart, Gladiator, Legally Blonde. What are the real messages that Hollywood is sending? Television is no different. From The Jeffersons to The Cosby Show to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to The Wire to Lovecraft Country, all were written and created by white writers. How authentic can that be? HBO's Lovecraft Country goes so far to attempt to hide the fact that they're basing the TV show off one of white man's vision, Matt Ruff, for another racist white man's novel, H.P. Lovecraft. If they slap a black female director on it, all that goes away, along with the oppressive literature disguised as science fiction. It's interesting to say because so much of the top black sitcoms and whatnot, these characters are written by white people. And it's just very frustrating to see because, Hollywood is very performative, I'd say. We say, hey, we want better representation of black people on screen. We want more of us. And they're like, okay, but then they don't want to put in the work and go out to look for black creators to make this shit right here. And I'm like, no, if I want a story about an Asian woman, I would like an Asian woman to be in charge of the production of that. I want the people involved with this project to be Asian because you want to know why? This is their story to tell. I always praise Craig of the Creek for this because they wanted to create a show about a black family. They did just that, but white people created it. But you want to know what? Like I always mention, I praise them so much for this. They brought in black people to work on this series. They brought up this premise, they came up with this idea, but they were like, yeah, this is more of y'all's story to tell than it is ours. And it just pisses me off so bad to see that we are getting what we wanted for the longest. We want black stories told by black people. And we see this shit getting cut in half. And I wanted to get on here and bring up Moon Girl real quick because I was so excited to see that Moon Girl is coming. And like I said, I'm low-key getting very burnt out on the superhero genre. But black people, we can have as many superheroes as we want. If white people can have thousands of superheroes, we can too. Indian people can have a whole bunch of superheroes. East Asian people can have a whole bunch of superheroes, okay? Latino people can have a whole bunch of superheroes. Everyone deserves to have so much of one thing because you wanna know what? We're all equal, all right? I was like, I'm tired of superheroes, but I gotta show out for Moon Girl. I gotta be here for this because this is something that I really did wish I had when I was younger. As I did have Bumblebee from Teen Titans, but she wasn't the main character of the series, but Moon Girl is. And it is very nice to see that black people are in charge of the production of the show. And like I said, it's a great thing because this is their story to tell. It's so interesting to see how we are finally starting to get better stories when it comes to black girls, really. And that is because we are starting to see more black women and more black people in general being able to be in charge of their stories because it's just like the writing is just so much better. And while I don't think Valerie is a poorly written character, I do feel like there can still be some criticism there with her character because this story really just kind of used her as pain all the time, but it just got very draining after a while. And to see that she really didn't get a happy ending in the end hurt. Because when we look at so much of this media that is super duper popular that features black characters, a lot of them don't really have all that great endings at the end of it. I personally think Valerie deserved much better. Yes, I truly did enjoy her arc with Danny Phantom. Yes, but then also, but specifically a black woman or a black film, if this show wanted to go that direction with her, because it's just very off-putting to see that that's just kind of all what they saw to her. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I just needed to run on here and get my thoughts out about Valerie because this is just something that I have been sitting on for the last 2 years because it just like, after I did my little 2020 rewatch of Danny Phantom over the summer, I had so many emotions and like so much built up, and so much of my frustration with the show just came from what was done with Valerie's character, because this isn't like the first time that I've seen Nickelodeon do this with the character, as they have a big problem with it because they have a black character put into a series and she just falls into so many different stereotypes and tropes that have been like, you know, put in the media by black people. Like I mentioned, how Susie basically is a token and she's a bit of a mammy, and then you know, Miranda from As Told by Ginger was just that, she was just atrocious and she was just a mess. And the reason it was such a big issue with that series is because she was the only black character there. I understand that a lot of writers, like I said, they put black characters within their work because they want that diversity there, they want to bring in that black audience. But then also you have to take into consideration that if you're gonna bring a black person into your show, you most likely need to have some black people working on the team for the sake of that character. While I do think that white writers do need to include, you know, diversity within their works, I do feel as if they need to improve on being more inclusive with the people that they work on. It don't mean shit if a black person is the forefront of a show and all the characters within the series are black people. If there are no black people working behind the scenes of it, it's kind of not very revolutionary, and it's also not all that great. Back in the day, yeah, applaud, because that's literally a lot of, you know, 90s black television and 2000s black television and 80s black television. So much of that was just white production teams, and then, you know, the black people were on camera. But in this day and age, we realized that that resulted in so many of the problems within those series, and that we do need more diversity off camera. That is my main point of so much of what I speak about on my channel. How when it comes to the American film industry and just the film industry in general, because Miraculous Ladybug about to catch these hands for what they did to Jessica. It made me so mad that if you're going to do this, you need to fix the problems with diversity everywhere. You want to make a show about black characters, you want to make a show about Asian characters, okay. There needs to be black animators, there needs to be black writers, there needs to be black voice actors, there needs to be black writers. You need to have black people on that team if you want the show to be to the best of its ability. All right, like I said, thank you for watching. I had a few more thoughts that I wanted to get out about this. And don't forget to follow me on everything at Harriyanna, HARRIYNNA. The Progeny is my web series. Check that out. Please donate if you can. I have new products coming to my store on the 13th. I have 2 books, I have 2 stickers, and a jacket coming on the 13th. harriyannahook.com. Use code HOTSPOT30 for 30% off your order. And donation, Patreon, all of that good stuff, link will be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and have a good night.
Powerpuff Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their ruts. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bad times. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all.